Our guest is Mario Jaramillo. He's ambassador of the Republic of Panama to the United States. He's former chairman of the Panamanian Association of Business Executives and vice chairman of the National Council of Private Enterprise. Mr. Ambassador, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me here.
FTA agreement recently signed between Panama and the United States. What does it mean?
Well, the first thing that it means is that with the 300 votes that we got, which is the first time in the history of the United States that a treaty gets 300 votes, I think it means a lot for Panama, for the United States, and for the whole world. For Panama, because it makes it clear what the importance of our country to the United States. For the world, it makes it clear that everybody wants to better the world trade, and the United States, that they got together after other things about the two political parties, they could get together on something and vote 300 congressmen for the positive for the treaty.
What's at the basis or the heart of the economy of Panama? Is it services? Is it agriculture, manufacturing? What's at the heart of it?
It's services. We are not an agriculture company or an exporter. We mostly services, and our canal is one of them. Canal contributes close to $1 billion a year to the government, and then we have tourism and banking. That's the most services that we have, and the maritime sector.
Americans always, when they think of Panama, they know about the canal. And there's a big project going on right now. Talk a little bit about the Panama Canal. Spain had the dream, France tried it, and the United States did it. That's the way I was thinking about it. Is that right?
Exactly. The Panama Canal is now going through, they call it an expansion, but it's really a second canal. With an investment of $5 billion, and will be able to accommodate ships that carry up to 12,000 containers.
Whoa.
Right now, the ships can carry up to 4,000 containers, and they call them Panamax. Worldwide, they call them Panamax. Now, the post-Panamax ships, which carry 12,000 containers, and about 80% of the new ships being built right now are post-Panamax, those will be able to go through the canal. So this will give a big help for world commerce to be able to carry on these big ships and make a better logistics distribution.
So really we're talking about going from one ocean to the other and going through the canal. And I guess years and years ago, this word isthmus it's a land, a kind of a pathway or a crossway. And I gathered that in the old days, I mean, talking about the real old days, they had it by foot, by horses, donkeys. Then they built a railroad, and then they came along with the idea of the canal. How long is it from one ocean to the other? How many miles is that?
You get a ship. It takes about 8 hours.
8 hours,
okay.
From the to go through one of the locks, go through the lake, and then come out the other side?
Right, and you can, like we say in Panama, you can drive from the Atlantic side to the Pacific side and in one day. You can be in one day. And also, like you said about on those times, when the Americans first opened the canal, they had their slogan, which I think some of the environmental people might not like it. Their slogan was, dividing the land, uniting the world.
Oh, yes.
And that's what it was, because it made it so much easier to unite the world and make it better logistically than ever before, because all the other ways.
Panama, so it's about, as I recall in my reading, about 50 miles across. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, 50 miles is an area of 800 square kilometers, and it's 15 miles across.
So this, Panama always has been key to trade, hasn't it? The whole Spanish idea was to get gold from one place and get it moving across Panama and then back to Europe, isn't that it?
Right.
Yeah?
It's always been, they used to have the Portobello trade fairs. We were that. And now it's even better, because since the canal turned over to Panama in 1999, we were able to get the most out of those areas, making it a logistic hub. More ports, more airports, more facilities that give services to the ships. It's completely another different vision that when the Americans had it. They had it. It was their mission was to get ships across, and now it was unprotected with the armed forces, and now we could take a lot of those areas and do more ports, more services, and everything in order to have more commercial logistics.
So Panama is a huge trading hub, huh?
Yes, we were able to do after 1999, when the American troops and the American administration of the canal was over, to take some of those bases which had airports and good technology, warehouses, to take some of that and make more ports, more airports, and make like a multimodal country. And now we have a big hub, not only with the ships, airplanes, train, trucks, but also with technology. We were the first country to have a whole Wi-Fi throughout the country, and we have the best communications. We have hotel servers, or server hotels, which are full, especially after 9/11, where a lot of servers from big companies all over the world are stationed in Panama.
Wow. Let me take a little break now. We are talking with the ambassador from the Republic of Panama to the United States. His name is Mario. I'm going to try to pronounce the last name. Is it Jaramillo?
Yeah,
Jaramillo.
perfect.
Perfect.
J as an H.
J as an H. Take a break. We'll be back on the other side. This is America is made possible by the National Education Association, the nation's largest advocate for children and public education. The American Federation of Teachers, a union of professionals. The Singapore Tourism Board, there's something for everyone. Singapore Airlines, a great way to fly. Punsan Corporation, forging a higher global standard. The CTC Foundation, AFO Communications, and the Rotondaro Family Trust. If anybody's taking notes, I wanted just to have everybody know, it was 1904 through 1914 that the canal was built. Is that about right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about some of the, and then the United States controlled it until you said 1999.
Correct.
They were involved.
Right.
And now they turned it back over to the authority of the government.
Right. Yeah, it's not politically correct to say that.
Oh, let's be not politically.
Because the mission was different. Now it's run a lot better in all respects. More money, more efficient, less wrecks on the.
What does it cost to take a ship through the canal? Just ballpark.
About 250,000.
Does it really?
And that's taking into account 4,000 containers. So now it'll be 3 times that, the bigger ones.
Wow.
And that.
So it could be as $750,000 because of the number of containers that they're.
But the secret was, and that I don't know if the program is too short to explain. Since the Americans had another vision, not a businessman vision, the way it's not that we raise tolls, but we changed the method of tolls. The tolls were made when there was mostly grain, ships that could carry grain. It wasn't built for containers. So the Americans wouldn't charge for what was on the top.
That's interesting.
I know.
Wow.
They were just charging for the ship going through. But then the Panamanian administration did a whole redesign, the tariffs, to where you also pay for what you pay for the cargo you go through, not for the ship but the cargo. So that's why the income went a lot higher, because it was
So
they were
now it's
getting-
like they're charging by the tonnage. In a
Right,
way.
right.
Let's talk about some of the basic. What's the population of Panama?
3 million.
3 million. And what?
We have 2 million tourists.
And 2 million tourists.
Yeah.
Whoa. Many tourists from the United States, I would
Oh,
imagine.
yeah. We have the tourists that, they go 4 days, whatever, and what we call the residential tourists that move, buy a house to retire there, which are other 200,000 from the U.S.
From the units?
and 200,000 from Canada, too.
Wow, 200,000 from Canada. What is the ethnic makeup of the country?
We have low indigenous, which is one of the things that is good compared to other countries in Central America. Mm-hmm. We're mostly, it's a mix of Spanish and African
Background?
Yeah, we came with the canal, to build the canal.
And Chinese
And
came
Chinese,
to
and Chinese,
come.
and those three, there's a lot of Chinese.
Wow. And then how about the language? It's Spanish. Is English also used as well?
Spanish, but it's a lot of English on the first level. We even did this, I say we because I'm private enterprise, we did 10 years ago a law promoting call centers, and we got a lot of call centers, but then we found out that we didn't have that many people. We had to stop the call center. Oh. We had a lot of English and Spanish, but like first level English, like for tourists.
First level.
Yeah.
How about capital city is Panama City, right? And then how about the bordering countries? What's to the north? What's to the south? Where are we?
Colombia and Costa Rica. And I don't know if you want to talk. I don't mind talking about that because I've really gotten with Ms. Napolitano and Hillary Clinton and all those on security. We've been the first country in the history of the world to have seized more than 100 tons of cocaine in 12 months.
Whoa.
And that's because we're located and since we're the country with the highest economic growth, we have the money to do it. So since we did that, we're doing great. And most of that was coming to the consumption is here. So since we did that, those traffickers now are going through other places. They're entrepreneurs, so they're picking other places. So now Costa Rica and them and Honduras and those places are getting this problem. But the United States and a group of donors, Canada, are helping, because those countries don't have as much economic growth as us, are helping for a regional security thing. Because, they cannot go from Colombia and South America to Panama because we've stopped them, but then they're going over there.
You said twice in the last sentence or so, you alluded to Panama as a fast-growing economy. Fastest growing economy?
If you put the word sustainable, because we grew 8% last year, we're going to grow 11% this year.
11%?
And then starting 2015, when the new canal comes, that's 3 more points. So we don't have any doubt that that's guaranteed.
Whoa.
So it's guaranteed.
Whoa. What is it? Spain that has the most historical impact on modern day culture? Is that a fair thing to say? Spain, because it was 300 years it was under Spain, right? So would you say that's the predominant cultural influence, or what is there about the culture that you can tell us about the people? What would be characteristics of the people?
They say that that's a characteristic of people that live by the ocean, but but the characteristic is I would say outgoing, outgoing.
Good sense of humor.
Good sense of humor. Outgoing, yeah.
And the Spanish, I say this in Latin music, that even the sad songs are happy.
I know. We have a, but I don't want to get too deep into that. But my hobby is education, and we have because we inherited the educational system from Spain. We have a bad education program because the Spanish taught you they would teach students how to follow orders. And now we need somebody to be creative, and so now we're changing doing a whole thing on our education system, because the only 2 problems we have now is the education system, and we have never had inflation. Since we have all these people coming from outside, we've been a country of 1 or 0 inflation. Now it's 4% inflation, and for us it's wow.
Wow. You only have, you used the word 4, but the number 4, very low unemployment rate too.
Also
it's about
four.
4%.
Also
4%.
four. Also four, which is half.
How do you deal with? Well, let me. I want to get this on the table. I want to talk about social challenges that you have.
Oh, there's a good one on that I could answer you.
What are you going to say?
We do have some difference between rich and poor.
Poverty is big.
Well,
class, rich,
regional
poor.
inequities. Regional inequities is some area where health. But then what we did a few years ago was the word in English, in Spanish is concertación. They call it like national planning. The whole civil society, which I was.
You were the executive secretary, weren't you?
Right.
Yes.
Did all this.
Bringing the.
From now to 224, what has to be done to reduce that gap between rich and poor and the regional inequities, and all those projects that came out that we start now and go to 224, no matter what government is in power, will be financed with 35% of the income from the new canal. So that's because I would be worried too. A country with so much growth and so much difference that we'll get another Chavez like in Venezuela. But that's taken care of with this.
You want to bring people along. And
Right.
take people who are in poverty and bring them up.
Right. In poverty, and mostly most of the money from the canal that stays in the city. So it's in poverty because of the difference between rich and poor, and also because they live too far away from where everything's happening.
Talk about, if you would, or let me say it, what would you say is the relationship between the United States and Panama? And I want to say good, bad, and so-so, because going back to 1903, when the United States engineered independence from Colombia, through the late 60s, through the late 80s, and then the invasion by the United States of Panama, and now democracy, thriving democracy. But the relationship has been good, bad, and so-so, huh?
Yeah, right now I would say it's very good, very good in all respects, in trade, politically, what we're doing what we're doing really on security because of the demand for drugs in the United States, what we're doing with our people.
Now you've alluded to that twice too. We are the consumers, aren't we, of the drugs?
Definitely.
Isn't that sad?
It's a difficult.
It's
sad. They're doing. The United States has. They have shown us, since they feel that they owe us this. They've shown us what they're doing, and they're working on some projects on prevention and the new way of saying say no to drugs. They're working on some projects, but that is hard to solve because it's so much involved.
If people are unhappy, if people are out of work, if people feel oppressed, if people are living in poverty, if people are uneducated and they have a sense of hopelessness, they will resort to try to kill the pain.
Yeah, and also, which I'm even though sometimes when people would hear me say, well, were you a private enterprise? Also, if there's a way through real estate, insurance, banks, whatever, to launder that money. If you would stop that, the way that money can get out, then also that would better. And and a lot of it has to do with arms. A lot of the arms go from the States to Mexico to play for the drug. It's a lot of things involved, but it's controlling the demand would be the solution. But there's so many opinions. People say you have to legalize. People say, there's so many opinions that it's hard to do it.
Panama had some dark days, and it comes into my mind because recently Noriega was was in prison in Miami and then in France and now back. Will that change the complexion of anything? He's 70-some years old and he's there in prison. Does that have any effect on things?
Not at all.
How do people look at him today?
Not at all. Just as a criminal, a narco trafficker, just as a regular person who goes back to jail for having killed a lot of people. Nobody is worried about that.
Ooh. You have a president today. I try to pronounce his name. Ricardo Martinelli.
Yeah.
Barrocal?
Yeah.
Is it Barrocal?
Barrocal, yeah.
What are his goals? What are his ambitions? I know the expansion of the canal is a huge one, but what else is on the docket there?
He's a very social-oriented president, which is good. And that reminds me of that when I met Senator McCain, which was born in Panama, by the way, Senator McCain, and we were explaining to him and his staffers all the social programs, and then we also said that we're building the first metro in Latin America, in the region of Central America. And I said, well, what does that have to do with social? I said, because most of the labor in Panama have to wake up at 4 in the morning to get to work at 8 because of transportation system, and then get back. So they don't spend any time with their kids, so the whole problem of crime. So with this metro, that's going to end. You know, people are going to be able to wake up at a decent time and get to work on time.
Wow. So the metro is huge. The expansion of the canal.
Yeah, and he did all kinds of social, like raise the $100 per month more to everybody over 70, raise the policeman's salary, we're building a lot of hospitals, a lot of social work, which we can do now that we have this great economic growth.
Your background, we talked about, you were the chairman, and don't be modest about this, you were picked out of 92 people to be this head of this group that tried to bring people together, right? The National Coalition for Development. Political parties?
By unanimously. If you said don't be, what were you?
Too modest.
Okay, so unanimously.
Unanimously, you were picked. That's good. But the idea was to try to bring people together, right? To talk about the problems and to see what needed to be done.
And based on the Millennium Goals of the United Nations, based on that, and the projects, we have indexes to measure, let's say in this area, the third grade kids, after they get out of school, 80% don't comprehend what they read. Okay, we want to lower that 80 to 40.
Okay.
On health, 10% of the children born in this place die before they're 1 year old. Well, we're going to lower that to 2. Everything has indexes to measure, because sometimes you do these things, but then you don't know if they work or not.
You were also the chair of the Panamanian Association of Business Executives, and that was and you are a businessman.
Yeah.
So as ambassador here, is one of the things that you put as a priority to seek investment in Panama by U.S. companies? Is that one of the things that you do? Yeah,
that's one, and I've been doing that for many years before. I've been doing that for many years before as private enterprise, and we're doing it now. As a matter of fact, in the new treaty, allows what is called retail sales of different services like department stores. That could not be done only by Panamanians before. So now a lot of the U.S. stores, like Walmart and that type of stores, will be able to open in Panama. And that is going to create not only a lot of jobs for Panamanians, but also we're going to become, like they say, the Miami for Latin America. Even more people that come to Panama shopping like they already do. And also, since we can farm all year round in our country because of our temperature, a lot of these American chain stores will also farm, plant in Panama to export to some of the other stores. So, yeah, I've been doing this work. Panama has been on foreign investment. We were the highest in Central America by twice. We had an average of 1.4 billion a year compared to half of that from other countries.
Wow. We're at the end of our time, Ambassador. I want to, first of all, thank you for coming and educating us, but I also want to leave you with opportunity, 30 seconds or so. What one thing would you like people to take away from our conversation that they should know about Panama?
One thing is that right now, in the last 8 years, more than 200,000 Americans have picked Panama to retire. The same figure with Canadians and Europeans. Also, The security in Panama is very good. There's no problem on security right now in Panama. And we also have a big fight against drugs, which have with great results. We've been the first country in the world to have seized more than 100 tons of coke in the last 12 months. We are the country with the highest economic sustainable growth in the world, and we're also taking care of the social problems that we have with the difference between rich and poor and some regional inequities. So we're taking care of all that, so we have a continued progress, not only economically, but socially.
Mr. Ambassador, so good to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
For information about my new book, The Chance of a Lifetime, and online video for all This Is America programs, visit our website, thisisamerica.net. This is America is made possible by the National Education Association, the nation's largest advocate for children and public education. The American Federation of Teachers, a union of professionals. Punsan Corporation, forging a higher global standard. The CTC Foundation, AFO Communications, and the Rotondaro Family Trust.